listeners. Hey, it's Friday, the 10th of January, and here I am all by myself. So you have me for a little bit. I'm hoping Jaff, um, obviously it's January, and he'll be having a lie in, or he'll be flying in with his private jet or on his jet skis or whatever it is. He's not here. So I apologize. And you have little old me for a little bit. So hopefully he's not too far. Um, and his chauffeur will be dropping him to the studio or whatever it is in double time, not in double roti, but in double time. You're listening to Ammar Mirza right here on Spice FM with our weekly show business. And it's a show, it's all about business, and actually, it's about everything else as well. So, testing, trying to get my microphone effective and trying to see which one it uses effectively. Um, Anyway, here we are. Each week, we'll bring you some news, views, and one or two clues from the business world. Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities. So, whether you have an existing business, uh, just want to talk business, or you've got lots of business to do, we can help. We can help, and we do help. So thank you, and thank you ever so much for tuning in and listening. Um, I'm hoping that you get some value out of what you hear each and every week, and I certainly enjoy your company, although I appreciate that you don't get the opportunity to talk back, but you are very, very welcome to. So if you ever want to get in touch, thank you. Thank you, Sandeep. Um, very grateful for your continued listening and support as well. I love tuning in ahead of our show to listen to the breakfast show. It always makes me smile knowing that Mr. Sandeep Kapoor is brightening up our lives each and every morning, coming live and loud and luscious in his own special way. And actually, the other thing for me is being um, a Valleti. So a Valleti is someone from Valette, and Valette is a endearing name for the country that I was born and brought up in. So being what I am, I I probably don't get the chance to appreciate culture, history, heritage, and part of the art, which is no better typified than music. And so tuning in to listen to Super Sandeep and listening to some desi music genuinely makes me happy. And in a world filled with such sadness, and everywhere you look, it just feels as if everybody is upset about something, and whether it's health, whether it's wealth, whether it's happiness, there doesn't seem to be enough of those things for everyone to go around. And if you potentially you can listen to people like Sandeep and Spice FM, um, and I've just got a message from Jaff saying that his jet's been held up. Um, let's see if we can connect him. Um, And apologies because I'm rubbish at multitasking, as you can tell. Um, and basically, for me, what we're trying to do through Spice FM, what we're trying to do through our shows is to provide some advice and yeah, right here on our weekly show or called Show Business. It is the business show for Spice FM, and it's a real pleasure for us to be part of the Spice family, as it's called, and share some advice with you. So, Jaff is struggling, so you're going to hear my voice. I apologize about that in advance, that it's only me, but hopefully the show has to go on. So here I am. Um, I'm sure that I've just probably started about five or six songs in what I've said. So let me push some buttons. Let's share my screen. And I appreciate that if you're listening through the FM or digital, that you don't get the chance to see our presentation and see our videos. But we do have a YouTube channel. So please consider checking that out if you so wish, because sometimes we will show you graphics, we will show you diagrams, we will show you a variety of photos and things like that that just bring our stories to life. Despite that, you hopefully should be able to engage with us through what we're saying, recognizing that it is a radio show. So here we are, and let me share a screen here, and hopefully that will display certainly on the video. It should. And basically, what is it that we do? Well, we do a variety of things through ABC, which brings you this show. And Jaff and I are equally entrepreneurs. Jaff, an incredibly successful one, me just trying to keep up with him and trying to do all I can. My entrepreneurship focus is more through helping other people. So we provide support, business support. We provide a variety of programs. So accelerator, this is where if someone's got an idea and they want to set up a business, we have a full program, a structured program of support, which takes you through from what's your idea, take your idea and develop it into a business model and a successful business model that is desirable. So someone wants to buy your product, that is feasible, something that you can sell or make, and you know you can, and is viable for any organization, not just businesses, but any organization. It has to be viable. So you have to be able to sustain what you do. So our programs take you through that. And over the last few years, in particular, we've tried to support more broader individuals. Yes, our programs are tailored to anyone who wants to set up a business, but we've now developed some bespoke ones based on something that we've done about 10 years ago when we worked with Newcastle College and came up with the concept of a well-being and business boot camp. Because at the time, it was probably longer than that. It was 2010, as it happens. And at the time, what the prime focus was on was teaching or telling or showing people how to do CVs, how to the technical skills associated with getting a job, finding a job, keeping a job, or setting up a business, and recognizing that your own well-being, where you live, how you live, and all of those things have an impact on what you do, including your profession. Um, the uh, the ability to join up both of those elements in a program was quite profound. So we even went so far to help. It was a 2 week boot camp, and in the first week, we concentrated on you as an individual. So, how to cook, how to prepare healthy food, how to budget, how to get a bus, how to get from A to B, the importance of being employable, what are the employability core soft skills, sort of teamwork, how do you do that, and building your confidence. So, the first week of this well-being and business bootcamp was devoted on developing you as an individual. And then the second week, we went through either business, do you want to start a business, or whether it was if you didn't have a job, how do you get a job? So looking at your CV, a bit of an MOT type of approach. And actually, on the back of that, what we were able to do was to move 85%. Now, the average of programs, generally support programs, is around about 30 to 40% of participants. So people joining those type of programs where it's employability will go on to do training or get a job or an apprenticeship or whatever it is. We had a success rate of 85% because of our experience and expertise in developing programs that were people centered. And this was in 2010. So 15 years ago, we done this. And we subsequently ran some further programs when the Beacon opened up. In fact, we took on pretty much half of the Beacon as a whole to deliver our programs. And then why am I sharing this with you this morning? Because later on in the show, we're going to talk about the awesome campaign and the awesome entrepreneur, one of our awesome women, Irim Ali, will be joining us to talk about a Become Awesome program, which is starting in a couple of weeks' time. And ultimately, that program is going to take, and we're targeting and tailoring it to Asian women. So, awesome stands for Asian Women Enterprising. And it was a campaign I launched a few years ago to platform, prioritize Asian women. And it was probably a little time ahead of the general focus on tackling inequalities and such like. Because one thing that we've always been good at, and it's not just me, just to be clear, I work with a brilliant team of individuals, whether that's people like Jalf, whether it's Amit, Kevin, Bilal. Anyway, I could go on and on and on, and I should never stop mentioning names. Otherwise, I'll be sat here mentioning so many names and not getting on with the show. But the the campaign that we launched brought together, recognized a number of Asian women who had led the way in their industry, their sectors, and had been enterprising. So it wasn't all about business women. And when we talk about Asian women enterprising, it's just individuals, women, Asian. So women generally, and statistically, you can skew statistics wherever you want. You can say, 20% of people didn't do that, or 80% of people do that. So I always take statistics with a pinch of salt. However, data allows us to understand certain aspects and elements. So statistically, the women get less investment, and there's less women-led businesses than men, and that's I don't have I can understand where it's come from, and actually historically men were and have been breadwinners, and that's changed. But in a lot of families and a lot of cultures, in fact, it doesn't matter what color you are, right? I know a lot of white people who still prefer for the man to go out and earn and the woman to look after the house. And in other families, it's reversed. And that is, and other cultures and other colors, that's reversed. Great. I personally would encourage anyone and everyone who has some ambition and aspiration to explore it. But there's no reason why we cannot and should not encourage equal support. So recognizing that women generally, good morning, Jeff.
Good
You're in
morning,
your jet.
Ammar. Sorry I'm late.
Are you all right? Are you
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the jet?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good.
It's cold out there.
It's freezing.
Yeah. Anyway, Jeff's in the house. So thank you for tuning in. I'll just very briefly finish what I was saying. Recognizing that women generally may not have had the opportunities, however, that's a choice thing. And for me, the point that I was making is it's not about forcing people. Oh, you're a woman. You should be liberated, and you're not liberated, and you can't offer the opportunities, and you don't get the opportunities. Actually, lots of women just enjoy being a woman and enjoy being a housewife or whatever. And there's some women who then go out and want to be breadwinners and earners. Brilliant, brilliant. I think that's fantastic. And it's the same for men. You've seen some role reversals. I do know some men who now choose to stay at home because actually their wives or their partners make far more money than they do. And that's great as well. But coming back to this awesome accelerator program, it's actually a Become Awesome program of enterprise support, is exclusively for Asian women, starting on the 22nd of January at the Beacon to help Asian women, whether they're already in business. We're going to support them how to sell online, become better at selling online, and a whole host of other things. And Irim Ali is supporting that. And I don't doubt the rest of the awesome women will be chipping in and supporting us and when. So we're going to be hearing about that in a minute, or actually later on in the show. The headlines this week, Jalf. So it's interesting, the doom and gloom to the extent whereby it's actually quite scary, isn't it, Jalf?
Are you referring to economy, the finances, and
Yes,
yeah?
yes, yeah.
To be honest, Ammar, I haven't really been that privy to what's been going on in the
Okay.
media. To be honest, in the last few days.
So, so the economy um, has gone backwards since the election, and people feel and are worse off since the election. And this week, in particular, the cost. A couple of things happened. One, the government's borrowing more money than it should and it
Mm,
predicted. So that's a real issue. And then the second part of the government's cost of borrowing has gone up so significantly that it's costing more. And what does that mean for us? It means that inevitably um, there's going to be more cuts to services. So our already incredibly poor services that we get, there's going to be more cuts.
mm. Well,
So so despite all of these tax raids, all of these tax hikes and everything else, there's going to be potential further cuts in the services. And then every employer has come out and said, who's spoken publicly, has said two things. One um, is the NIC costs are going to increase costs. So the chief executive of Sainsbury's this morning had said all of our prices are going to go up. They have to. We can't afford to, not to. And that's going to be across the board. So inflation's going to go up. So interest rates are then going to potentially go back up. And it's this vicious circle and cycle, Jeff, of like economic impact. So rather than stimulating the economy, by introducing tax reductions and tax incentives to encourage businesses to grow and recruit. The total opposite appears to be happening.
Mhm. Well, I think it wouldn't have taken a genius to work that out. And if our government, when they did this ridiculous budget that every business commentator, every business person that I've ever come across, they were all up in arms, and the government turned around and said, "No, it's something that needs to happen." Well, based on what? And
Yeah.
this is the consequences of the actions that they make. But they're going to be so hard nosed about it. They're still going to think that no, this is the right decision because they think that they are beyond. They probably look at the public who are on the firing and that can give them the real impact. They just probably think that we're all a bunch of numpties that haven't got a clue about anything, and they're above and beyond our level of thinking, and they go and make these decisions, which I guess it's the fruits of you're seeing the results of those big decisions that they made, and it's not even like you said, Ammar, when in come April, I mean, I think I've never dreaded April before because you think that,
Yeah.
yeah, you expect a slight increase. But on this occasion, April comes, I think so many businesses are going to be in huge trouble.
I think, well, there's a whole host of other things. As I say, inflation is a big challenge. Number two, the Federation of Small Business survey reveals 92% of UK small firms fear proposed employment law changes will hinder hiring and growth, with nearly a third planning workforce cuts this year.
Mm. Yeah, I
So,
think,
so the additional pressures on businesses were aimed at the bill aimed at addressing employer worker power imbalances, or suggested or alleges, proposes ending 0 hour contracts, expanding sick pay, and strengthening union rights. Critics warn these measures, alongside tax hikes and a 6.7% minimum wage increase, will raise costs and deter recruitment, while the government argues the legislation supports living standards and growth. But it's just the short mindedness around this, because ultimately, as the FSB has suggested, the um, employers will just cut back because
yeah,
they can't afford it.
I think it's a murky area. It's just all so challenging. I think it's not even if it's a 6.7% increase, that's just on the minimum wage itself. But then the real cost of business is probably you're talking about 15% on a individual. I
Yeah.
think even society, Amal, as it is today, there's like some other huge concerns. And I often give an example to my team of an individual who's in his 60s. He's never, in 22 years that I've known him, he's never ever had a day off, like a sick day off,
Yeah.
and never ill, never unwell,
Touch wood.
never unwilling to come to work if you need, and it's someone else's day off and someone's on the sick. He's always there prepared. Compare that to the youngsters that are coming in to employment ages between, I don't know, like 18 to 23, 24. The amount of absenteeism that you have, and oh, I'm sick, any little minor thing. So imagine that the you want to, what balance are they talking about? Because the balance is already skewed anyway. Because when you've got a business and you don't have a reliable workforce that can just automatically choose what day they can come in and cannot come in, and they're dictating to the employers that, oh well, I can't come in tomorrow. How are you supposed to have a efficient business function? Are you
It's
gonna like sustain standards and all of those things?
um, yeah, it's it is crazy. It's there's a whole challenge and issue around work and employability and ambition and attitude. It's just a incredibly challenging time for businesses. And as you say, it appears that the older generation see who you would expect to be more unwell or be picking up the some of the bugs and issues and things like that. Yet there's people like anyway. It's a generic. I mean, equally, there's actually I know some young people who are incredibly motivated and equally are come in and then they maintain that. So I don't think it's a single one particular issue or challenge. It's just a perfect storm, as they say. Um, so coming back to the show, Jaff, inclusion by default, we continue with that. And I suppose the thing that I need to highlight is because there appears to be a huge uprising against inclusion and wokeness and whatever else, and we've always encouraged freedom of speech. So actually, it's important that we highlight when we talk about inclusion, we talk about everyone. We recognize that white boys, young boys, white men have felt isolated. I think men generally have felt isolated as well, but being unable to speak out um, for fear of reprisal, reproach. And if you look at even things like, J.K. Rowling and the abuse that she gets because she talks about um, transgender aren't men or women, because they weren't born like that. Because she has a view, she gets so much abuse and bullied and things like that. And it's a shame because, all that's happened is it's created further division. If you look at, all of the politics, the politicians, they're creating further division now. And what we're trying to do by the inclusion by default is give everybody a voice. It's not about, exclusively ethnic minorities. Absolutely not. It's about not marginalizing the majority. It's about sort of, anyone who has ambition and aspiration should be supported. Anybody who's suffering poverty, starving, hunger, homelessness, whatever else, should be supported. And actually, we also recognize that uncontrolled migration in itself creates further issues and challenges as well. So, there's a lot of sentiment towards just what we would call common sense. And the inclusion by default campaign is even more important than ever because we need to look at the things that bring us together. We all bleed, we all come the same way, we all go the same way. It's what we do in the middle that defines our impact and legacy.
100%.
Um, we're launching the International Space Station, Jeff.
Right. Amazing. Looking
Super
forward to it.
excited.
When is it, Ammar? When will you get there?
Well, we're signing today,
Okay.
so
Brilliant.
so that's and then it's going to take a bit while to trying to fill 10,000 square foot with furniture and everything else
Uh-huh.
um, you know is a bit of a big challenge. Recognizing what you do with your restaurants and everything else, we've got all of that to do on a 10,000 square foot building.
It's
Um,
a big space.
big space, but it's an exciting space. It's situated at Newcastle International Airport. we talk about the challenges people have getting in and out of town and the city, and and um, and basically we uh, recognize that people want to move away from the city centre because they want to get somewhere where there isn't the traffic, there's parking, they don't have to worry, it doesn't take too long. A nice shiny building right next to the metro, right next door to the airport, right with so much parking spaces, really handy up and down the A1. You can get on a clear run into the town if you want and need to quite quickly. But actually, why wouldn't you just jump on the metro? Because it's literally across the road. Get into the city centre. Don't worry about parking. Get the metro back and do what you want. So the quality of life has improved. It's 10,000 square foot. It's dedicated. It's the first international trade centre of its kind. It's been purpose built. We've got connections into Asia, Middle East, Europe, and America. And basically we're supporting scale ups. So these are companies who already have premises, who already are growing, but they now want to grow globally. So we're taking them globally, we're connecting them, we're supporting them. There's a range of programs, and we're partnered with all of the key government level and grassroots level organizations as well. Um, and I'm really, really, really super excited um, for it because it provides all of the support that anybody needs to uh, to grow global. And then we've got companies, organizations, government entities coming into the northeast via um, via the uh, International Space Station.
Amazing. And I think it's going to be, you're at the airport, Ammar, and obviously there is massive rumors that PIF are going to be taking over the
Yeah,
airport.
yeah, they are.
And if
Um,
that does happen, then I'm presuming they'll have some huge plans in order to develop the airport and stuff.
yes. Um,
Amazing.
yeah. Um, so it's super exciting. And actually, it's spent 3 years now on this. It's I've been developing the concept for 5. So it's not something that we've just woke up today and gone, oh, I think this is a good idea. We validated it. We've got a number of businesses, some great businesses, so exciting, who want to be there, who've already said, yeah, we're going to be there. And it's not your typical co-working space either. So it's not just all right, I want a desk, I'll go and use it. It's a community. It's a community that's supporting each other, peer networks. We've got access to investors. We've got access to how do you innovate your business model for that particular country, is what we've got. And it's a launch pad. So we're going to be taking a variety of missions to India, to um, Asia, to Saudi and the Middle East, and all of those places is what we're going to be doing.
Amazing.
So it is incredibly exciting, um, is what it is, and then we'll be running a variety of activities from there. So, ABC will be sort of developing more programs because it'll have the space. It'll be doing more support activities and then a whole host of other exciting plans to support. One of the other things that we're looking at is very much um, recognizing that the Northeast has so many international students. So students from Saudi, India, China that come here, Jalf, and all they do is their degree and then they go back. And what we're
Mm,
saying is well, we're going to plug you into our international trade center,
Hmm.
and you're going to get work experience, but you're going to be working with the companies who actually want to go into those countries as well. And you're going to be working with the companies from the countries, your home country, who are setting up here as their account managers as well. So, imagine you're doing your masters, and all of a sudden you get this type of experience, and then when you go back to your home country, you're already connected with these businesses. They're
Mm.
inevitably going to give you a job, aren't they?
Hmm.
You're then going to add so much value, and or you might even get the opportunity to you might want to set up your own business. You might have some ideas, and all of these, that's the opportunity from Airview. It is so exciting, is what it is.
Hmm. Brilliant, man. It's really, really good. It's really, really exciting.
Where you gone?
Hold on, a bit lost.
There you are. So the sun's shining. What jacket is that, Jeff? Just out of curiosity,
It's
is it a new one?
Primark. It's a Primark
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a new one?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just to
okay. Fair
keep it
enough.
warm,
Okay.
man. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No. As in, I'm still wearing my one from 10 years ago, and it works. Is the thing. So I was just
yeah.
curious as to it looks nice. And you're out and about. So how's business? How's this week been? Have you
No,
seen any
this
changes
week's
since?
awful, Ammar. It's it's a week where next week you kind of get through because when you calculate the week you had, kind of New Year's Eve fell in within that week, and then this week is just an awful week in the whole city centre, really. In the hospitality world, this week is it's very poor, very quiet. But then next week it's restaurant week and it's going to be chaos. So it's actually not bad when you compare to how January's used to be, when it was all about the whole month would be quiet and people would be waiting to get paid at the end of the month, and you would then the whole 3 or 4 weeks would be dead, and you have a bumper December, and then you have a awful January, and it kind of all evens out. But I guess restaurant week does make a difference to the businesses in the city centre for sure. So I think next week is going to be a busy week. So it's not bad, and I think it's good that you have a bit of a quiet week. It gives you the opportunity to reset everything and give people the time off and the breaks that they need after working kind of very hard for X amount of weeks. So I think from that context, it's all good. I think what's been really great, I guess, for the city, Ammar, the feel good factor in the city at the moment because of the football, it's really noticeable.
It's brilliant.
Really, really
It's
noticeable. I think there's many people that we know that so kind of excited with the cup situation that they've already gone and booked hotels and booked train tickets to go to London for the final.
when is it?
I think
When
it's
is it?
sometime in March. I think the 10th of March or something around about that time. I can't not maybe it's not the 10th, but it's around about that time. So it's about a few weeks away yet, but it just shows that even though that we haven't got into the final, people are just jumping on it with a hope, with a 2-0 kind of lead, thinking that yeah, we're going to get there. Let me get there in advance and book the hotels before the price skyrockets. And that's kind of brilliant, really, for the city. Hopefully, that does happen. It just gives the city a lot more. It raises the profile of the city, doesn't it, worldwide, and it makes it more
Oh, it's
appealing. And
brilliant.
hopefully, I think we need every bit of um, anything that's going to help bring people into the city, especially with the way that the economy is going. I think it's just everything is going to help, and we need as much support and as much help as possible.
Yeah, we do. We desperately do. And actually, the football, it's just been so good to watch. Uh, it gives people that boost is
Mm,
what it does.
yeah, it
It's
does.
a positive boost. So, um, and then there's further conversations and discussions um, around the stadium itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your views on the stadium, Amar? Are you? You want to stay or would you prefer a move?
I mean, I don't know, other than down on the riverside is where logistically you could have something. There isn't anywhere else in the city centre that could
Is it not
accommodate
though?
it.
I think Castle Leazes or something where it's not very nice in that part of Leazes Park. I think they were talking about that. I personally think the way that the FFP and the financial fair play nonsense is at this moment in time, I just think that actually, when you think about it, we need a new stadium because you can't achieve. St James's Park is brilliant, but at the end of the day, if you got the Saudis, they've got the money. If they're willing and prepared to get a new stadium, I think we must get a new stadium. I think you make it the best stadium in the world, and but then it has to be really well thought out the way that they do it because you have to do your analysis of all the best stadiums around the world. But the key to all of it should be how do you create a stadium and have soul? Because if you don't have soul, no matter how flashy a stadium is, the stadium actually doesn't feel, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So I think they need to constantly reiterate that to the architects. And I personally, my opinion would be that a stadium should look very industrial to represent, what Newcastle is as a city historically. If you have lots of core town and you have this industrial look, but use, what we've used to do the Angel of the North. And if you come in, I think, and it should be core, it should be dark, it should be dingy, it should be, frightening to people that come into it. Instead of having a flashy, glossy stadium, I think it should be the quite the opposite of that.
It should. I agree. Anyway, we're talking about football. Good morning, Iram. Thank
Good,
you for joining
good
us.
morning.
Assalamu alaikum.
Good
Um,
morning. Walaikum salam. I don't want to talk about football, mind.
all right. Why? We love it. Anyway, so thanks for joining and as our special guest. And I was talking, ranting, raving about the awesome campaign and the Become Awesome program that you are helping spearhead. And thank you for coming on. So some people may not know. I'll be very surprised, but it's always helpful and useful to for you to introduce yourself, obviously as a leading entrepreneur and awesome campaign leader as well. Let's kick off with who you are, what you do, and why you do it, please.
Thank you. Yes. So, first of all, thank you very much for having me on the show. So, my name's Irim Ali. I've got a few titles. I'm an elected councillor in the West End of Newcastle. I'm also a cabinet member for Newcastle City Council, and I head the communities portfolio, which includes community safety. And I'm also a solicitor by profession. Now, I was involved, or well, I was picked actually by ABC as one of the awesome women um, back in, when was it? 2019?
Five
I
years
can't even
ago.
remember.
Five
Yeah, it
years.
was about 5 years ago. Yeah, and Baroness Wiracy came and she came to Newcastle and she gave, there was I think 10 women
Yeah,
that title. And since then, I think we've tried to do a few things, but then the pandemic came in the way, and then life got in the way, and different things happened. But once I was given that title, I really wanted to do something with it. And I've been a counsellor now for 16 years, and all year round we door knock and we talk to our residents. And one of the things, I think post-pandemic, one of the things that was quite apparent is how many people have either lost their business or have set up a business for various different reasons. I've set up my own business, and that experience it was brilliant, but I realized how much I didn't know and how much I had to learn. So through that journey, and using ABC as a platform, I think the collaboration between the two sort of ideas is to support Asian women in enterprising and provide the tools to help people to help, well, Asian women, enable them to become entrepreneurs. And regardless of what the idea is, whether it's a really small idea or a massive idea, it's to support women along the way. So that's who I am and that's what I do. And hopefully I'll be able to do more as an awesome woman.
brilliant. I mean, Jeff, just picking up on Iram's point there around knowledge, know-how, advice. as an entrepreneur, how important has it been, and when did you realize the importance of actually getting the right advice?
Um, I think it's a development, isn't it? I have to say that networking on has been such a big thing, and I'm not just saying this. I've said this many times before over the years. I think when you can get into, I mean, ABC as a kind of organization, when we were doing networking events back in the day, and you get to meet, Stephen Savage, for example, the leader of the council, and other individuals where you can have discussions with, that you may never. I mean, if you were trying to make an appointment with certain individuals, you could probably never get into the diaries, never meet their PAs, never get to meet them, but you could meet them at an event, and they actually talk a little bit more, and they give you help and support and information. So I think sponging information from intelligent people, I think that is so important for all business people, because that's what gives you the guidance, and it builds your mindset, and your framework in business kind of does evolve by advice that you get from other successful people. You've got the specialists that are out there that you can ring, accountants and ring solicitors, but sometimes the informal advice, the informal connections, I feel that's really, really significantly important.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And actually, I think what Irim's sort of leading on here is, Irim is a community leader, is a successful entrepreneur, and those lived experiences have helped informed, the program to become awesome. And awesome itself is, Asian women enterprising. So it's not about every single Asian woman who wants to start a business or telling them they have to start a business. It's just to help Asian women generally. And I think the point that you make around peer networks and networking is important, Jaff. But what Iram and the program's talking about is a structured, here's the things you don't know, here's how to find them out, here's the support available. So you've got an idea, and how do you take that idea and develop a business model, a business plan? How do you do your marketing activities? How do you do your customer segments? What tools are there? What techniques are there? How do you sell online? Because everyone's sort of keen to do it, and everyone watches things, and you watch a YouTube video, but what do you truly know about demographics, about keywords, about different platforms, about search engine optimization, about all of these things? What do you really know? And actually, yeah, of course you can find out bits, but it's just like, everyone can become a plumber, but really you realize that it's a plumber who has the competence and the confidence to come and fix these things. So how do you learn things properly, in a structured way? So Iram, your ambition for the program is?
For lots more Asian women enterprising in the Northeast region.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I mean, it's a pilot that we're doing. The reason why Iram's sort of leading on this and deciding it's a pilot is because it's being done in partnership with a British business bank, where we're picking up with other stakeholders and partners from across specialist services as well. So people who've been there, done it, people who are responsible for it, as well. And we at the SME Centre of Excellence in ABC have huge, vast experience in programs, but we want to do something quite unique and exciting with Iram here, in supporting Asian women in particular. So, what are the cultural considerations? And if so, what for some of them? What are the religious considerations as well? And how do you factor those things in? And actually um, recognizing the influences of that, and equally the broader commitments to family, and how do you juggle dropping the kids off? How do you juggle balancing whatever you do as well? And it's a matter of fact that women generally take on the heavy caring role and heavier caring role regardless. That's a matter of fact. I'm not speaking out of turn. Um, and, uh, and how do we support that so that they're able to fit in this unique and exciting opportunity? So the program's starting in a couple of weeks. There
It
is
is, yeah.
an
And
indicative date, isn't
just
there?
pick,
There's an indicative date.
yeah, there is. And I'm just picking up on your point there, Ammar. I think because all my work in life has been the 9 to 5 office type jobs that I've had. And it wasn't until 2 years ago. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. And family were on in Pakistan. They were chilling at a wedding. I was here. I couldn't get the time off. And I remember sitting there and just thinking, like, there's got to be a better, I'm done with this 9 to 5. I'm never enjoying myself because of dates. And my whole family, everyone in my family, whenever something gets arranged, will be like, oh, Niniana, she's not going to be able to come because there'll be counsel or there'll be a client or there'll be this and that. And it was so frustrating. And I was thinking that, I'm really done with this 9 to 5, but I absolutely love my job. And I did make that decision. It was such a huge leap for me because, when you've worked that long from 9 to 5, you just robotically just turn up, do your job, go. So I did. I just on the spot, I resigned, put my resignation, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to do it. And on that day, I rang my other half in Pakistan. I said, I'm going to do this, and he went, if that's what you want to do it. So I typed up the resignation. I handed it in. I gave my notice in. I left within a month. And then I took a month off. And that month that I took off, I was introduced to the life, the whole social media concept of the advertising and promotion. It's a totally different world. And I set up my website myself. I did lots of social media stuff. I learned how to navigate Instagram and TikTok and all of that. It was all so new to me back then, 2 years ago. And away I went. I managed to get a really good local office. And honestly, I've got so much autonomy in my business. I decide my working hours. I can work from home. I can do all of those things. And it's so empowering more than anything else.
Yeah.
And of course, yeah, like you've said, culturally, religiously, there are commitments that we all make, whether it's your family, whether it's your faith, whatever it is. And all of that is really time consuming. But how do you juggle all of that alongside, wanting to work? And I think it truly is the best decision that I've ever made in my life was to, start up my own business. And I would recommend it to anybody who wants that kind of financial freedom and not be shackled to a desk 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. It's brilliant.
Yeah, well done. Well, thank you for sharing. We've run out of time. I'm always conscious we're going to get cut off any second. It's not just for anybody who hasn't got a business. It's also for those who have and just
Mhm.
want to see how they can
Absolutely.
improve their business, Irim,
Yeah.
isn't it? Is what
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
It
And
is.
it's open to all Asian women. That it is limited to a number because there's only so many that so I imagine demand is going to be outstripped
Yeah.
from supply. But I'm excited, and thank you so much for taking the charge on this. We're going to get the rest of the awesome team supporting you as well. So tap into their skills, experience, expertise, as well as ABC and the broader partners here that we have. So thank you, Irim, for joining us. We're going to get you back
Very
on to
welcome.
give us an update on what we're
Excellent.
talking about and how we're doing it. But until next week, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Thank you, Aaron. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Take care.